Yes, a special deadline day. I say that lightly because we've had no first teamers come in tonight. I'm joined by Johnny. How are you, Johnny, first of all?
I'll say I'm good now, but then probably about 5 minutes or 10 minutes I'm going to go, not very happy. That's all I'm going to say so far.
Yeah, get your comments in. If you want to have your say, come on the show of all of the window. We're talking about all of the window tonight, some of the deals that did happen with the under-23s, ins and outs, release players, the one player that we did get in. But before we get with teeth stuck into it, Johnny, how would you rate all of the transfer window?
What, just Newcastle or everything?
Yeah. No, we know about Messi, Ronaldo. We're not talking about them. Newcastle's more important.
Really, really poor. Really, really poor. When you get, of course, Joe Willock was everybody's number one signing. Of course he was. And it's fantastic that we've managed to get him, especially on a permanent. But when we were all talking at the back end of the season, one player, only one player, I would rather have 4 or 5 and not Joe Willock, just to make the team stronger. But we are weaker, in my opinion.
Squad weaker, yeah, because we've lost a couple of players, haven't we? We haven't really gained. We've spent money to bring Willock permanently. Is the biggest success, I say that successfully, keeping ASM and Wilson? Is that the biggest success this transfer window?
No, not for me, because Wilson was never going to leave. ASM is more chance of him leaving. I don't see never really thought Callum Wilson was going to leave unless it was a ridiculous offer on the table. But ASM, unless you, the only way they would have got rid of ASM, I think, is if a stupid offer came on the table, because our game at the minute is all about saint-maximin. When can we give him the ball, and how quickly can we get in threatening the opposition? Because that's our plan A essentially at the minute. But I think the least I would have taken for saint-maximin was around about 60, 65 million, because of how important he is. He's not worth that, but because of how important he is to Newcastle United, it would have had to take a stupid offer for Newcastle fans to say, yeah, we'll take that.
And would it get reinvested? That's in so late in the transfer window. But look, we've still got we're best 2 players at the club, so some people might flip that on the other coin and say that's the best piece of business. I actually think that is, even though maybe not, the club might not have been in for them really. Keeping those 2 is probably just as important, is strengthening as well, as the same kind of level for me. Because if you lost one of them, I think we're knackered, especially goals. But please get interacting tonight. As I say, get your comments coming in. If you're brave enough to come up and speak on camera, there's a link at the top of this live chat, which is pinned. Strasbourg Steve, who's changed his name, he will be joining us shortly. I can see him underneath as well. Give him promotion as well about the channel when he come on, Steve. So please keep your comments coming. Right, let's get cracking. We're still going to be talking about the whole of the transfer window, not just today. So we are going to be talking about the whole, even the under-23s. But I wanted to talk to you first, Johnny, before we bring Steve in, about a bit of good news amongst NFTV. You know where I'm coming here. Because for people who didn't know, this handsome pooch, the pooch, not you, Carl. No, seriously though, Carl and his missus, congratulations to the pair of them and the dog. Let's not forget about the dog, because they've all had a successful, healthy baby boy tonight. Absolutely wonderful news, isn't it, Johnny?
Best bit of transfer news all day, isn't it? No, fantastic news. You know, we've all known, especially from the channel, that it's been very, very close of when this baby was on its way, and just got a little message about an hour ago, didn't we? And yeah, it's fantastic news. He hasn't called it Hamza, but
or Shearer,
but yeah, it's brilliant news, and obviously all the best to Carl, his missus, and congratulations to all the family, and on behalf of everybody on the channel. I'm sure every Newcastle fan that's watching on YouTube now, I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted, and we'll send our best to all his family.
Yeah, massive congratulations, Carl and his family. Really well done. He's been worrying for the members especially as well. He's told the members a couple of problems with potential of the birth, but it looks like it's gone really successful. Just waiting for the photos to come and we'll get them on the socials. But congratulations, Carl, from me and Johnny and everyone else at NFTV. Right, let's get back to it. I wanted to start, Johnny, then, with the rumours, the strong rumours today. This is just about today, this section. We've got Hamza Chowdhury, we've got Emil Krafth, and we've got Boubacar Kamara. Easy for me to say, Christ.
Do you know what it sounded like? Do you know when Chris Kamara was doing that, when you go to see those like soccer Saturday funnies, and he's got that Kamara from Fulham or Papa Diop, and he just can't pronounce it.
Yeah. Easy for me. Chowdhury's been linked for a good, all summer, to be honest with you, Johnny. We've seen Matty leave and had a great debut at Aberdeen. Matty doesn't actually free up any of the 25-man squad because he still technically doesn't need to be registered if Matty was still here. But he's been linked for a long, long time. Why?
Steve Bruce has obviously taken a liking to him. He likes what he sees from him. I do think that is a position that we needed strengthening, was the centre of midfield, but more in particular a defensive midfielder or a central defensive midfielder. For me, he's got a challenge in him. I think Matt Ritchie's seen that firsthand. I think he done something very similar to Mo Salah. So he's not afraid to get his foot stuck in, and he's not getting game time at Leicester. He's a waste at Leicester essentially, and they've obviously scoured him and thought, yeah, we'll like a bit of that. But look, for whatever reason, I don't know how this deal hasn't been done. I'm scratching my head. Look, there might be some people that don't rate Hamza Chowdhury, but we needed that sort of player in.
That was just about asking, is that the type of player, that bit of bite in midfield?
Of course it is, because you look at who we've had in the last couple of weeks. Sean Longstaff's not that type of player and never will be that type of player. Isaac Hayden has got a bit of a challenge in him, but again, he does pick up a couple of injuries. Chowdhury he's probably needed a few games to get into the rhythm of the Premier League, but it would have been another option. Shelby doesn't do that. We all know that. He doesn't like Matty for whatever reason. Thinks he needs more games time. But I don't know. I'm scratching your head at this one. I really am.
Yeah. We'll bring Steve in now. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty all right. Besides Newcastle's, fuckery as usual, but it's to be expected at this point.
Yeah, we're just carrying that conversation, Steve. Then the next man, Emil Krafth, was linked to move away and maybe didn't want to go. I don't know the full ins and outs of Emil Krafth. It would have been, I say this lightly, it would have been wonderful to see Emil Krafth leave Newcastle, right?
Yep, I don't rate him at all. Maybe if he plays under a different manager, different system, different club owner, all that, maybe he'll be very good. Who knows? But I've never been impressed with Krafth, to be honest.
Tom Allen has gone out on loan and Gwynnick Morton. That must have just literally happened, has it, Johnny? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I think it was about, couldn't have been more than an hour and a half ago.
I thought it was Matt's look like, Isaac McAtee. I must have missed that one off, so apologies. There is a graphic coming up later. So I've missed Tom Allen off because I must have missed that the last hour. So Emil Krafth stays at Newcastle. Frankie says congratulations to Carl and his missus. Steve, tell us more about Kamara. Do you watch a lot of Marseille?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've watched the first 3 games of the year. Very good player. Honestly, I don't see any reason why he would come to Newcastle based off of how hit and miss these Marseille to Newcastle signings can be sometimes. Obviously, you have the positive with, what's his name? There was Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa didn't used to play for Marseille.
No, he did.
Oh no! Right. Okay. You're right. No, so you get these hits like Ben Arfa, but then you have a Tovan type thing. So, but I tend to, and the problem is with the midfield is that Bruce just doesn't know how to play a good system with him. He doesn't. His system sucks. His 5 at the back, 3-2. It's terrible. So I'm kind of glad that Kamara avoided us because he's a very good player, but like I've watched him so far under Sampaoli this year, and Sampaoli knows how to use him. And he also knows how to use Guendouzi and Gerson next to him, making runs into the box on occasion. And then Kamara will sometimes drop back, get a pass, sometimes leave and have a crack outside the box, test the keeper out. But I like Kamara a lot, but I see why he didn't join us, because this club is an embarrassment, and Marseille have a lot going for them right now under Sampaoli. I'm really excited.
It's two players, Johnny, that would be linked to. Kamara can play defensive midfield. Chowdhury can play in defensive midfield. It's quite clear where Bruce wanted to strengthen, from what I can see.
Yep.
Yeah, of course he did, and I don't think it takes a scientist that midfield has been the biggest position that Steve Bruce has wanted to strengthen since he arrived at the football club. We remember Samari not too long ago. We put £35 million on the table for Samari, and we couldn't get that one over the line. We do need that sort of player. Isaac Hayden's done a pretty good job in the last couple of years under the circumstances. He's played so many different positions, but centre midfield is his more natural position. And, he can only do so much. He's basically the number 6. Let's be honest, not really a number 6, if we're being brutally honest, because he's had to do that job because of a John Joe Shelby, who's been his more natural partner for the last couple of years, and he's let John Joe, have a lot of the ball, try and get, try and spray it diagonally, trying to get the likes of your Alan Saint-Maximin, sometimes Joe Linton, sometimes who else into the game a little bit more. But it is a problem position. But if you're not paying £35 million for a central defensive midfielder, how can we not get a loan signing in? How can we not be paying a loan fee? How can we not be making sure that these wages?
Because Ashley doesn't care. He doesn't care.
It's not a case of that, Steve. Because if he wants to sell the football club, we all know he wants to sell the football club. I don't mind that, right? But if you're selling a football club, or if you're selling a house, right, and you notice that there's certain little things that need doing because you're going to have to pay for them anyway. We needed signings in. Anyway. But what I'm saying, you need to do the little things to keep the minimum. And like
granite countertops.
Take a massive gamble. He's hoping that Callum Wilson and Alan Saint-Maximin are going to be fit till at least January. Callum Wilson got a bad injury last season, and Alan Saint-Maximin cannot keep fit for a whole season. It is the most stupidest decision I've seen at Newcastle United in the last 100%. God knows how many years I've supported them. He is playing a massive gamble. We've conceded 8 goals in 3 games, and we can't sort out a defence and have a natural defensive midfielder playing Sean Longstaff, who's not a number 6. He's probably a number 10 in that position. We are a mess, and Mike Ashley is playing this gamble. Steve Bruce, love him or hate him, has been given a bad hand. He's been really given a bad hand, but it's just
he needs to be
shambles.
The thing that pisses me off about Bruce, and I heard reports from people that worked in the tunnel on Saturday or whatever, that Bruce wasn't even in the fucking dressing room for the halftime talk.
I'll take that with a pinch of salt because we don't know if that's true for sure.
Yeah. No, but I'm not as, that's a good point, but it wouldn't surprise me because Bruce doesn't get involved with this team very much. Like, we pointed it out on the live stream that he was yelling and screaming for like 5 or 10 minutes. And we were like, oh, that's cool. Because we just don't ever see it. We don't it's Graham Jones who's talking with the players, and during the penalty shootout in the Carabao Cup, it's Steve Bruce standing like this while all the players are huddled up discussing penalties. He isn't involved enough in this club. He's fucking lazy. That's how I see it. And he needs and someone like Antonio Conte, I like his and that's something that you can.
He's never coming to Newcastle, Steve.
Money.
He's
Money
never
man.
coming to Newcastle United.
Well, no, but he demands.
He's never coming to Newcastle.
Yeah. No. I'm saying the attitude. I wish Steve Bruce had the attitude of Conte, where he's demanding of the owners, and he's like, I need this, and this. And Bruce doesn't have the balls.
That's what Benitez was like. You need to see what happened to Benitez.
Yeah, and Bruce is just a nice guy, and he's a wimp because he knows that no other team really wants him.
Yeah, we'll get
he's
back
just
to
a nice guy.
We'll get back to the topic, and then we're bringing some more guests in shortly.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the actual done deals. Believe it or not, Tom Allen has just literally been announced. He's missing off this graphic, but he has joined Greenock Morton. Thank you very much for telling me. I wouldn't have known that. And so has Matt Spitting Double in the middle there. Oyson McAtee, Irish centre back, who's been playing right back for the under-23s of late. He's headed up to Scotland as well. So good luck, especially for McEntee, because this is his first loan spell. Tom Allen needs to hit the ground running this season. He has to perform. Otherwise, I'm worried about his future. Rodrigo Vilca has left the club in the past an hour and a half. He's gone down to Doncaster on loan until January, I believe it is. That'll probably get extended to the rest of the season. He's 23. He had to get out on loan. He had to, because he's that age now. You can go past a player. He's too good for the under 23s. Just needs to stay fit. But he should. We'll keep an eye on how his progression is over on NFTV Extra. But the Hollywood story, Johnny, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. This is real life. Is this a PR stunt that Newcastle have signed? And I'll say it, Santiago Munoz.
I want to say no, but I feel like I have to say yes. The reason why I want to say no, I actually want to believe that Newcastle are a professional football club and that they've looked at this player and going, he's one for the academy, he's one for the future. We'll take him, we'll see how it goes. But it's an 18-month loan. An 18-month loan. That takes you to what? Next January.
Yep.
On a player that is going to be in the under 23s. I'm sorry, I just find that very, very strange. If you're gonna do that sort of deal, buy him. Even just pay. If you're paying a tiny bit over the odds, I'm sure you can send them back to South America to make break even anyway.
Yeah,
but on the terms of the business side, it is a good PR move because Callum Wilson. What was one of the things that Callum Wilson said when he signed? Oh, I really like the film Goal. It's absolutely strange. I'm just like I say. I think one of the comments I've seen on Twitter was, I'm surprised we haven't got Gavin Harris. But Gavin Harris will probably be some bloke off a van in Durham who's just bought a burger and chips. And so there you go. So, like I say, I hope he's a good player. I hope he's a good player. Yep. I hope that he ends up playing for the first team and he does well. Of course I do. But I know Steve loves his football, but I don't think even Steve knows if this player's any good.
I follow Liga MX not as intensely as I probably should to give an accurate statement on him, but I never heard any hype about him really. And then I tried to ask Mexico fans, and then as soon as I saw that they were saying, "Oh, he's better than Pulisic and Reina, and only reason why they're there is because they lived in Europe," I was just like, okay, whatever. Like they're too deluded to actually give me my opinions. But I haven't really heard much about him. He has 13 professional appearances. I can't say I've ever seen him play for Santos.
Just to put in there, that's positive that he's playing first team football. Though.
That is, yes, that is good. That is good.
It's a bit like the man on screen, Vilca. Actually, instead of we actually bought him, not loaned him for $250,000. We actually bought him. He was playing first team football, and everybody, even Nobby Solano, that Johnny was talking to, said that. Wrong move for Vilca because he's just going to play with kids. He has to develop, and he hasn't been given that opportunity. He's kind of went stale the last 12 months, despite him looking good in the 23s. He's headed out on loan, which he should have done probably as soon as he joined. Now this might be the case with Munoz.
Yeah, and to me this screams of a PR move. And even if it isn't, let's say he does tear up the U23s. Where is the track record of Bruce giving young players a chance? I can't find it. So that's my fear. I fear for his sake, for Santiago's sake, that he isn't going to get a proper chance at Newcastle under Bruce at least.
Sorry, but how do you get a visa? Is that because he's born in America? Has he got a loophole around that?
I have no idea how he. That's a great question from Rohan Gulliver. I don't know how Munoz got a visa, and then because Munoz has 13 games. That's not a lot of games. I don't think Jetro Willems played 13 games for Eintracht Frankfurt last year because Kostic has that left wing back spot like preoccupied for years to come. But I really don't get it.
Do you know who his first game is, Lee, as well, if he signs, when he comes to Newcastle? It's Fulham.
Go on, Steve, say it.
Say what?
Say Fulham.
Fulham. Fulham?
Thinking on the American. Steve, before we switch it over, I'll let you go because we're giving everyone about 10 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
Tell me your overall feeling of the whole transfer window.
Absolutely shocking. 1 out of 10. We made one signing for our first team. That's great. We kept Maxi, and it's great we kept Wilson and all this other stuff. But so Bruce is still here. That's going to take points off the score. No other signings besides Willock. We signed Santiago Munoz as a PR stunt, it looks like. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not putting it past Ashley taking us fans, again, for stupid people and trying to please us, which it doesn't. It does not please me. I hope I'm wrong, but it's a 1 out of 10 easily. And then we got rid of all these people. It's a disgrace, but it's just what I've come to expect at this point.
That's Johnny in the comments, not me. Johnny's just took over there. That's 40. Come on, where have you been? You've been in hiding for weeks. Come on. We didn't bite, don't we? Not Johnny.
No, definitely.
Good point from Liam saying we're customers to Ashley. And guess what? The worst part is the product is shit.
Yeah, I know that's a thing. Steve, before I let you go, do you think we'll stay up?
No, bottom. I'm surprised that I'm surprised I didn't put them bottom when I made my predictions in July, because I knew this kind of thing would happen. But I just figured Palace. I didn't expect a flurry of Palace good signings. I still think Vieira is not a good manager.
Well, it just pinch Edward from Celtic, haven't they? So we'll see.
And
how that
then
goes.
Watford have all these attacking players that can do bits. Ismail Assar, incredible player. So yeah, we're bottom. Until I'm proven otherwise. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I can't. I'm not gonna dilute. I'm not gonna put myself in a mindset of expecting something that just I don't see. It's like trying to ask a 5-year-old to dunk over LeBron James. It's just not gonna happen. Of course, you're gonna be pissed if that's your kid. You love him. You want him to do well, but you just can't. We can't survive with this.
You'll be fine. Go watch Space Jam. You'll be all right, man. Be fine.
Steve, but I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
No worries. Thank you very much. We'll see you very, very shortly, Steve. No doubt. Thank you very much. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
We're going to bring Callum in as well. Just before we speak to Callum, mate. If you want to have your say, pop on for about 10 minutes. We've got Connor also waiting. I can see. We've got Andrew and we've got Elliot. I'm sure Elliot will say something because he'll go wild with some of the. You know what Elliot's like. He'll get passionate. But how are you, Callum?
I'm well, thanks, guys. I'm just tired. You?
What are you tired of? Just generally, or Newcastle United in the whole?
Both, really. Just tired, having been sleepy.
Okay, then. Well, we're going to move on to part of the show, Callum. We will ask you also about Newcastle shortly. We just want to carry on our theme. Johnny, I'll come to you. Obviously, there's been several of under-23 players released. Obviously, Sorensen didn't get released. He actually joined and we sold him. Did any of these lads surprise you that they've been released?
Not really. I think Owen Bailey obviously was at an age where he needed to leave. Like Jamie Sterry, he was just too old, and it wasn't doing him any good to be playing for the under-23s. He needed to play proper football regardless of what division that is. Sorensen just wasn't good enough in the end. Really, there was a big chance a couple of years ago to really, at least be on the bench for the first team, and for whatever reason, Rafa didn't really look at him. Maybe thought it was a bit too early for him, and the loan moves that he had in particular just didn't work out. And but they were probably the two I looked at and gone, well, could they really get into the team? And unfortunately, both of them just never really had that chance and really took advantage of it. But probably the right decisions.
Aaron, you should say hello to Johnny. He doesn't bite, So Aaron said he saw Johnny at the cup match. You were next to Jackson, weren't you? You might be scared of Jackson, mind. Looked at me and we looked at each other. I was going to say hi, but it wasn't shouting.
No, I don't bite. Don't worry, honestly.
He doesn't bite. Johnny's probably the most
funny. Believe me, some people think I'm a nice guy, so there you go.
Johnny is probably the friendliest out of all of us, to be honest. Sam's probably got the most rest bitching face. Yes, and keep your comments coming. We can see them coming on your screen as well. Callum, do you know much of these four lads? Owen Bailey, Ellis Sorensen, Yannick Torre, Ludwig Franzlet?
Nope, sorry.
Well, that's fine if you don't, mate. Yannick Torre probably raised one or two eyebrows. I know he's been injured the last 18 months or so, but yeah, that's probably the one I was most surprised about. A lot of people do like the look of Franzlet. I think he's joined Crawley, if I'm not mistaken. Big, tall centre-back. I think he'll do well in the lower leagues, but we've got abundance of centre-backs, and we've obviously talked about the first team over the summer. We've already got rid of Florian Lejeune and Kel Watts has gone out on loan, but yeah, none of these surprised me, in all honesty. Maybe Torre at a little extent. I think Sorensen's time away in Holland, what was it, Almere, I think it was, in the second division. He had to go and bang 15, 20 goals, something to keep his place in Newcastle will be looked at as well. But yeah, the best of luck for all of those lads as well. We've got a lovely comment that just came in. Where have I just seen that? There we go. Dave Clark's a lovely comment there saying, not going to lie, NFTV's pulling away from the competitors, now the best Newcastle Newcastle channel out there right now. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate your feedback. That was lovely. Don't worry, I haven't typed it, no one else has. It's genuine.
I didn't realise he was your cousin.
Nate Clark's and my family. Ben Bryant, Ben, if your brother of Carl, I don't know what's called. Carl's brother's called Chris, isn't he? That's right. That's not Ben. If you're related to Carl, congratulations. Carl's a father tonight. Serge Aurier is a free agent. I've just seen that, yeah. Just literally cancelled his contract. Callum, what is your initial thought on the whole transfer window with Newcastle?
It wasn't good enough. Having one sign, it's not good enough. So I thought we signed more. We need one more striker and one more, two more defenders.
Any names for strikers who would like to see come in?
I wish I had Leo Messi or Harry Kane, but no, without it.
I thought you were going to say someone like a Daniel Sturridge or someone like that, because we're forever linked with him as well. Are you worried about this season now the window's shut? We've got to work with this till the rest of January.
Oh yes, very worried. Our way we're going to be near relegated.
Well, you think we will be relegated? Did you say there?
I was thinking maybe we just survive, maybe.
God, he's rather negative, isn't he? I can understand why, though. Johnny's not a nice guy, says 40. He's not. Why don't you come on? Why don't you come on and tell him? Kel Watts, doing bits for Wigan, though. Yeah, I agree. That's a good loan move. I would have liked to keep him at the club, though. Smash the like, says Jack. Thank you very much for the hard work as well. Rondon's went to Everton with Benitez.
That's good, not isn't it?
Oh,
that's so good.
Yeah, because we could have easily had
Rondon. We could have done with him. We could have easily done with Solomon Rondon. He was one of the best, probably one of the best strikers that we've had in the last few years. Obviously, Callum Wilson's done really well since he's been in the club, but how good was Rondon? We're talking about that Everton game.
Also great, Johnny. Rondon is really good.
I'd have him back in a heartbeat.
Callum, is he the best striker we've had since Demba Ba? Got to be, hasn't he?
Has to be. He's good. He's a top striker. And when you say it about Santiago Munez, I thought, really? I thought a film, and then I saw freaky. At this time, after he's been on loan, he was going to move to Real Madrid.
Yeah, he's going to be on a free kick, man, or he's going to bend one top corner past Liverpool.
Oh, yes, I remember that scene. That is a brilliant free kick, Santiago Munez. Well done, especially the volley to Gavin Harris.
Well, that was what it was. Robert against Scott Carson on his debut for Liverpool. Won it.
Oh, yes.
I've seen them when they played Liverpool. They had to jump on the pitch after the game.
Isn't it like a rugby?
Yeah.
Because I see it closely, the mistake, the free kick. I look closely. Oh my God, that's long with there. Oh my God.
Yeah,
but it is still class film.
Yeah, I totally agree. We'll carry on with the theme before Connor, you're going to come up next. 3 new lads came in the under 23s. To be honest, Johnny, I didn't know much about any 3 of them before seeing them in pre-season. Obviously, Cameron Ferguson because of his name. Obviously, his dad with being Duncan, Charlie Wiggett, who follows us over on Twitter, didn't know much about that lad, and Remy Savage. A lot of highly thought of Remy Savage because easy for me to say Remy Savage. Come on, Lee, because he was a ball-playing centre back. But did you know much any of these? Because I didn't.
No, I think Remy Savage was a name that I kind of recognised. I have to be honest, but I don't know how I recognised the name. But anyway, I think unless it was a different player that I don't know. I generally don't know. I just felt that the name was a bit more recognisable than the other two. But if the Ferguson, Cameron, was it Cameron? Did you say Cameron Ferguson?
Yeah, Cameron Ferguson.
If he's anything like his dad, we've got a half decent player there. But look, again, these are players that need to try and shine. They need to shine in the under-23s, and they need to try and knock on the door for the first team, or at least try and put themselves in the market to get a loan to a League One club minimum, in my opinion. If you do that, then you've got half a chance of making it at a good level. But the under-23s is a funny one for me. It really is, because I feel like it gets neglected at times. Or it has been neglected for a long, long time, I should say. And these lads, there's not, like you say, you've seen Sean, you've seen Matty, you've seen Elliot Anderson as well. They're the only ones really I can think of for the last maybe 7 or 8 years that have really had a chance of doing okay. But I'm not really classing Freddie Woodman in this because he's been out on loan and actually got experience. So these players need to really step up.
Yeah. Callum, do you know much about these three lads?
Same, I don't know them. I just only know he's the first team.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen a few of the under-23 games. Cameron Ferguson is obviously playing second fiddle to Dylan Stevenson. Stevenson's banging in the goals. A lad from Blythe. Start the season in blistering form. Cameron Ferguson is exactly like how you say Johnny. He is like his dad. A lot more skinnier though. He cannot run. He holds the ball up and he lays it off. Charlie Wiggett was a foul for one of the goals earlier on the season away to Gateshead, but he scored recently. So it looks like him and Savage are playing in a. Well, I think they played wing backs tonight when they got beat off Sheffield Wednesday in the cup. But Savage is definitely a lot more easier on the eye on the ball. But we'll have to see how those three lads go. Before I let you go, Callum, can you give us a rating out of 10 for the whole transfer window?
0.
Oh, a 0. Here's a question for you. What's more important, signing Joe Willock or losing Alan Saint-Maximin?
Oh, God.
Or keeping Saint-Maximin,
I say Alan Saint-Maximin. That's the most loose one. He's a great player. One of the great skills.
Okay, right. Well, Callum, I'm going to thank you very much for coming on tonight, mate. Thank you. Appreciate giving up your time.
No worries. Night.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Take care. Cheers.
Right, Connor, you're up next. Connor, how are you?
All right, lads. Usual Newcastle, usual transfer windows, nothing new.
You get used to it, man. You get used to it.
You do. These young
With an accent like yours, why did you pick Newcastle? Why?
Well, I actually picked Newcastle because when I was younger, my high school in 2007 took us down to Newcastle, and it became an annual thing where we'd go down to Newcastle for a school trip away at the weekend. And we went to games, obviously, where we were down there, including in the Championship, and I just fell in love with the club, mainly because sitting at St James's Park, the atmosphere was incredible, even when it was, I think the game in the Championship was Swansea at home. There was one of the games, Ryan Taylor banged in an absolute screamer of a free kick. And it was just things like that just instantly made me go, this is a bit of me, this club, basically. Albeit you quickly learn you're going to have to accept a lot of, shall we say, disappointment. But no, I think it's worth it. And I'm hoping at some point in the near future I'll get back down again for a game, because it's been too long since I've been in the hollowed ground of.
Yeah, get yourself due, man. We'll get you on the last word or something. Why not? Adrian's gone and see under 23s atop the table, which is quite surprising. That is surprising. Also, the NUFC women are. We post it on the socials and they're winning 3-0, 5-0, 6-0. They're absolutely bossing at the minute. So both of our, especially the women's, I hope the women's get promoted as well. Obviously, Steve saying good hello to Connor. Connor's one of our members. If you haven't seen our membership program, There's a link underneath saying join. It tells you a little video about what we do. They get all the behind. Well, Connor, you tell us, what's the membership about?
Well, you get all manner of means of wonderful exclusive member videos, including first looks at Mr. Greenwood and Milner's fantastic show, among many other perks, including being involved in a very, very good Discord chat and some good banter. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for?
We've just filmed the Green and Milner show this evening, and we have got another one planned later on in the week as well, so keep your eyes peeled for it.
He's forgotten to mention he gets channel updates from me as well. But how But yeah, Carl done one earlier this month as well. He'll probably do some more now. He's had a little babber on the way. He might do one about the Ben. Who knows? Did De Jong go to Barcelona? That was Luke De Jong. I've seen that rumoured, didn't I?
Well, Griezmann's on his way to Atletico, so there's a very good
chance. Yeah, he speaks fluent Spanish because he was moved there when he was about 10-year-old, didn't he?
Yeah.
Big Newcastle fan, though, isn't he?
Oh, massive.
Yeah, he plays us on Football Manager. Hi, lads. Another exciting transfer window. Mike laughing, yeah. Not great. Connor, before we move on to release players, which are going to come on to next, the same question asked Callum. Is it more important to sign Joe Willock, or is it more important to keep ASM and Wilson?
Well, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's more important to keep ASM and Wilson. And I think there's been a real lack of intelligence about how we've conducted our business, because, Steve Bruce basically said that when Willock was signed, that was pretty much our entire transfer budget gone on one player, that it would be kind of loan signings from there. So if we knew that our transfer budget was going to be 25, maybe 30 million pounds, for me, given a couple of players that have left in the weak spots we really need bolstered up, you might have been better served spreading that over a couple of signings coming in for half decent players at 3-4 million pounds.
That's what Johnny was saying, right?
Yeah, then just throwing it all on one player, because Joe Willock's fantastic and he has been fantastic for us last season. The problem is, what we are now expecting from Joe Willock, I think, is a bit unfair on him. He's still a young player, and we've just blew our entire transfer budget on him, and now we're severely lacking in defence. We're severely lacking up top. You could even argue one or two midfielders could be doing me coming in as well, because let's be honest, people like Jeff Hendrick, free transfer last year, great, but he's done next to nothing since he's been at the club. So I think we should have had a bit more intelligence instead of trying to. I think it was almost, let's placate the fans. They like this guy. Let's just get him in the door, and then nobody will care about the rest of it. Well, I think that was naivety at best, in my opinion, and that isn't to slate Joe Willock. I just think it's incredibly naive from the club.
I wanted to ask both of you. I'll come to you, Johnny. Is that, do we really only have 25 million to spend?
Norwich have just spent £14 million on Ozan Kabak along with the players they brought in.
Yeah.
Come on. Brentford have spent more money than us. I'm sure the Magnums have spent more money than us, and then, fighting out with Sheffield Wednesday to see who's the biggest club in League One. Look, let's be brutally honest. Newcastle had money to spend. Where is the money? Where is the money? Someone at that football club knows where this money is and knows why we can't spend money, apparently. We can definitely spend more money, 100%. Now, that Joe Willock deal, by the way, yes, it's £25 million, but none of that £25 million, all of it, will not be going straight away in this window. It's all on instalments. So you can't tell me that Newcastle United didn't have money to spend on other players. We needed, like we've just mentioned, we needed another defender. We arguably need a new left wing back, because at the minute, Lewis has no confidence and Richie's not good enough. Right wing back, don't get me started. Midfield, defensive midfield, we've already talked about Chowdhury and Kamara and God knows who else. And if Callum Wilson gets knackered, where are we? Where are we with strikers? Dwight Gale, who, let's be honest, is a very good Championship striker, but not a good enough Premier League striker. We needed more players in this window, and again, it's a perfect excuse for Steve Bruce. It really is. I couldn't get any players in, and if we only had a couple more players in the transfer window, we wouldn't be in the bottom 3 and X, Y, and Z. We're in a relegation battle. Now, we could have, arguably, you could have said before we even kicked the ball in a relegation battle, there are probably about 5 teams that are trying to stay in this division, and we're certainly one of them. If ASM gets an injury and if Wilson gets an injury and they're both out for, let's just say, 4 to 6 weeks together, we are screwed. We are knackered because we are not getting wins. Mickey Almiro can barely take a penalty, never mind get us goals at the minute. So
it's Joe Little because he's playing ahead of Dwight
oh,
Gale.
don't get me started. No, why did I say that name?
Because we've
This is where we might end up seeing Muniz because we might not have a choice. Because this is the thing, Bruce can throw the excuse that, well, I never got my players or I never get this. And yes, absolutely there's an element of that on Mike Ashley and more specifically, whoever the people around about him are that are advising him. Because see, if you want to sell a football club for the kind of money he wants, you want to make sure at the very least you're investing enough to keep it afloat in the top division. We're not doing that right now with the lack of transfer business. But also, Bruce himself clearly doesn't feel like we need a striker. He has said, or all but said in a couple of interviews, he didn't really feel that. You look at the targets who we were linked with, other than the young boy who will be playing in the under-23s, Mooney is, in terms of first-team targets, none of them were strikers. Hamza Chowdhury is not a striker. He's a midfielder, which, again, whilst you could bring one in, was not necessarily an area of the park that you couldn't have got away with not bringing someone in if you had a couple more in defence and another striker. And yet, it doesn't seem like that's entered the thinking of, people like Steve Bruce and the people around him when it comes to identifying the targets. Because I read a couple of hours ago that apparently Bruce himself has been personally trying to drive through a couple of deals. If that's the state of affairs, that Steve Bruce is having to himself, personally do it, for me, he needs to have better people around him while he's at the club, because right now he's what we're going to be stuck with for the season, realistically. And he does need to be, and I said this on the after the game the other day, he has to grow a spine and actually have the conversations with Mike Ashley. He doesn't have to argue with him every day. He just has to have the conversation. But we need more players than this. 25 million in the Premier League is a drop. There is clubs in the Scottish Premier League, like Celtic, for example, who will spend more than that by the time this season is done. That is how disgraceful an amount of money that is to spend in a league that we're in.
Can I just interrupt? Sorry, it was just you say you talk about Celtic there, and it's actually a really good point. We talked about strikers. Odsonne Edouard just signed for Crystal Palace. Now, last season we were heavily linked with Odsonne Edouard, and I've watched I watched like a bit of Scottish football. That's kind of like the second league I'll watch. Just with I've watched a couple of Celtic and Rangers games through the years. Now, Odsonne Edouard is a player that has had Premier League teams, loads of Premier League teams been scouting this player. Now, you're telling me that they couldn't have done some sort of deal with Odsonne Edouard? £15 million rumoured that he's got to Crystal Palace. Surely, with a little bit of ambition, it's kind of like Edouard. He seems to have done well at Celtic. He's I know the start of this season hasn't really worked out. It didn't really work out for the end of last season with Lennon leaving and all that. But this lad knows where the goal is, and to learn off a striker like Callum Wilson as well, who is Premier League proven, who wants to try and get 20 goals this season. Surely it would have made sense to go, let's get this lad in. He's a young lad who can learn off a player like Callum Wilson, play in a Premier League team, who can try and get the odd goal that could keep us in the division. I don't get that. Is Edouard that bad, or are Newcastle being so stupid again?
18 months ago, less than that even, when there had been speculation around them going to several other Premier League clubs, you were looking at a price somewhere in the region of about double of what he's just left Celtic for. The only reason he's went for the cheapest 15 million, which is an absolute steal for Crystal Palace, there's two reasons. One is, yes, because it was such a poor season for Celtic last year and he never hit the heights that he should have, but even not getting out of second gear, he was still top goal scorer in the Scottish Premier League. And also because he only had about a year left in his contract. So by January, he was free to communicate and have conversations with our clubs, and he would have went for free. And Celtic still owed about a 40% sell-on cost to PSG for him as well. So they were keen to get something out of it And that's why he's went so cheaply. But he is that good that, trust me, if he goes and bangs in some goals at Crystal Palace, a year, 2 years down the line, he'll go for 40, 50 million pounds for there. Not a problem at all. And he's exactly the kind of player we could have brought in to work alongside Callum Wilson with the experience he's got. So it's a real disappointment. I mean, you've got Alfredo Morelos at Rangers as well. We're linked with him. He's a great player. Would have been slightly less than Edward actually. They'd probably got him for about 12 or 13 million pounds. But for a club like Newcastle in the Premier League, any club in the Premier League, that should be a perfectly acceptable amount of money to go and spend on a player in any position. You know, that's a drop in the ocean for 95% of the clubs in the Premier League, including us, because we've got an owner who does have money. He just doesn't like putting his hand in his pocket, and it's costing us. But they're two players we really could have, one of them, easily we could have got in, no problem at all. Even if you had to negotiate, swap it. I mean, Celtic are desperate for defenders. Give them Emil Crafty as part of a deal for Edward. I don't think any of us would lose sleep over that. So yeah, I think again it's just being asleep at the wheel from the club, really. Yeah.
We'll move on. We've got Andrew coming up shortly as well. Stay with us, Connor. Just wanted to get your opinion on the three bigger names that were released over the summer. Obviously, the lad on the far right is a bit of a joke, Henri Savay. Atsu's found a club over in Qatar, Saudi Arabia. It's one of the two. I might be mistaken. I know it's Al something. Andy Carroll was sniffing around Reading. Not sure if that's gone through yet. And obviously, Henri Savay is still looking for a club. Probably still will for a long, long time. We're talking about transfers coming in, but these three lads here, Connor, you're probably talking here 70 grand, 80 grand a week in wages.
Mm-hmm. Easily. I think, Henri Savay, as you say, was a joke. I don't think him going out the door, whatever, nobody would be bothered with that. I think Andy Carroll, to me, I think what we should have done, because I wasn't against him leaving, because it's clear that he's towards the end of his career now, what we should have done is been better prepared. We should have had another striker in the door before he was gone, because to only have two strikers, both of which are quite injury prone, and Callum Wilson and Dwight Gale. And Dwight Gale is maybe Championship plus player. He's somewhere in between Premier League and Championship, I think. It doesn't really bode well, and you can't play Joe Winton as a centre forward. We know this. So we should have kept Andy Carroll until another striker came in the door. Even kept him as something to be used as part of a deal to get another striker. Say a club was looking to sell a striker and go, well, if we're going to sell him, we really would then need a third choice striker in or whatever ourselves, then fine. You could have used him as some sort of collateral or leverage in a deal. And Atsu, again, he was okay when he first came in, wasn't he? But he kind of fell away, obviously injuries and things like that, which you kind of feel for him, because there's part of it you go, what could have been if he'd have stayed fully fit and hit the form that he did when he was at, he'd done a fairly good job for Everton. So, yeah, but again, that's money that was surely freed up, as you say, from the wage bill as well, that could have been used to bring in loan players or whatever. I mean, to not be wanting to pay a loan fee, like, I'm sorry, but
it's proper tight, isn't it?
Who do we think we are? Like, you don't get players, particularly from other Premier League clubs, for free. That's not how it works. If they say, right, and the thing is as well, from what I was reading, Leicester had already came back and were willing to negotiate the terms in terms of the wage, split, about how much we'd pay, how much they'd pay. That was fairly good for them to come back and do that. But for us to be so tight to not, what was the fee going to be, really? 200 grand, 300 grand? I don't see why we couldn't have spent that, even if, let's be honest, he's a fairly unproven player. I just think we've been really, really tight and quite arrogant, actually, thinking that you can go to a Premier League club with that type of offer.
The Athletic even said that the deal was pretty much done on Saturday because Matty had left. I know it's got nothing to do with the 25-man squad, which Leeds perfectly mentioned, but they said it was pretty much a done deal. They were fully expecting that deal to be done at the latest today. And the fact that 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning, we're close of business. What? We're close with business. Come on, stupid.
Just before I let you go, Connor, the Premier League 25-man squad gets announced tomorrow. And this brings up a wonderful suggestion here by Rohan. Are 4 goalkeepers really going to be named?
Well, as it stands, probably, which is shameful and puts us in a really dire position. But I guess you just do what you've got to do. I mean, I think 4 goalkeepers in the squad. Well, I mean,
For me.
already, yeah.
Because you've got Dan Langley, who doesn't need to be registered. You can just say, right, he's 4th choice.
Yeah, you could. That
What
is very
we also do for Woodman now, because Woodman's going to have to be here until January now. He could quite easily fight with Darlow for number 1 now. That's probably a positive for him.
But then this is the thing as well, though. We've wasted money with the goalkeepers in terms of Woodman's came back now as the absolute 3rd choice. So what did we bother bringing Mark Gillespie into the club for? What was the point in that? And I don't mean that in any disrespect to him, because he's not a terrible goalkeeper for the level he was at, particularly at Motherwell. And it wasn't masses of money we spent, but it's still kind of like, why have we got someone on the wage bill when Woodman is 3rd choice? All right, right now we've got the first 2 out injured. So if Woodman did get injured, at least you could have a toss-up between, Gillespie or Langley. But as you say, Lee, you could just bring Langley in anyway. So it seems...
Will be registered, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems ridiculous. But it's why I feel it's why I fear for how this season's going to go. I think Norwich and Watford will go down. So the question for us becomes, of the teams remaining, is there anybody else there in worse shape right now coming out the transfer window than Newcastle? I think you'd struggle to see anything, because I think Brentford will be okay. Brighton look all right. Crystal Palace have just signed Edward. I think he'll probably, they'll stay up, especially with a couple of other bodies they've got. So you're looking at it thinking, we're in real unless we get lucky and somebody has a collapse, we're in big bother here. And you know Bruce ain't going to get sacked. We could be bottom of the league with 2 points, by December 29th. He ain't getting sacked regardless. That is the biggest problem. So yeah, and 4 goalkeepers, it sums up the shambles that has been this transfer window, and the last number of ones that have came before it, really, doesn't it?
Roll on Old Trafford, Ronaldo. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Right, Connor.
Carfield sort of it.
Hello. I love you and leave you. Thank you very much for coming on, pal.
Yeah,
Cheers,
well,
lads.
next week, Connor.
Right, we shall bring in Mr. Andrew Bell. Hello, Andy. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself, guys?
Not well. I'm not bad. I'm a little bit disappointed. Johnny, I'm going to let you take over a little bit whilst I hold the chat.
Yeah,
just about general.
Just chat in general. Yeah, well, for what a day it's been, hasn't it? Really, with all these new signings. Not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Look, let's talk about Hamza Chowdhury, because it is the one that was the closest one today, and the hasn't arrived. Newcastle couldn't agree a loan fee and the wages. I think it was the wages that was the major sticking point. Firstly, Andy, did we need Hamza Chowdhury? And if we did need him, why have we stalled on it?
I think it's a sorry state of affairs when I'm actually saying yes, we needed Chowdhury. I don't rate him as a player, particularly anything over what we've got if fit. But the problem is if we get any injuries, we've got nothing coming in. We've let Matty go. I think, as Lee said in a video a few days ago, he's one midfielder that we've got with legs that gets about. The way I look at the window, beyond a little bit off subject, sorry, Johnny, but I think it was, 18 months, 2 years ago, at the end of a window, Bruce came out and said, we've made a bid for a player that would be a club record bid, which was Sumari. We didn't bring anybody in really of note after that. On the first looks of it, you would say, well, we'll spend 25 million on Willock, but we haven't. We'll probably only paid them 8 million up front, and then the rest is going to be over, a couple of years. And then we're probably getting rid of about 12 million off a wage bill a year. I mean, if Lejeune was on 60 grand a week, that's 3 million a year. He had probably 2 years left. That's 6 million saved. If you look at the previous one, you've got to say, well, where's that money that Bruce has been promised in the past for Sumari? You could use that on Boubacar or who. It just seems as if in this talks that he's not happy today. You've got to wonder. He's had his eye on Chowdhury for a long time.
Is he going to walk, Andy? Because if you're a manager or coach and you're not getting even a player on loan that you've been after for the last 2 windows. Yes, COVID's had a bit of it, has had an impact. Of course, it has. It's had an impact on every football club in the world. But you can't tell me you can't stall over wages for a player on loan. It's not even a permanent. It's a loan signing. He must be thinking, what am I doing here? But he'd be looking at on one hand going, Premier League job. I'm still on the Premier League. I've still got a half-decent couple of players that could potentially, if they're fit, could keep me in the job. Or I could walk and go, well, do you know what? I've got Newcastle on 12th and 13th. These fans are off their rockers. They think that I've done a bad job. It's a win-win for him, surely, Andy.
You wouldn't blame him for what I mean. I mentioned it a few last show. The crap he's got to put up with in the fact that he's getting the neck off the fans, which was always going to be like everyone said. We can't wait for the stadium to get full. Get behind the team. But you've also got the negative effect of that. If things don't go well, which they haven't, we are prone fans to get on the manager's back. Which I wasn't sure whether I heard it on Sky because it wasn't the greatest link, but I'm sure I heard Steve Bruce out. We want rid of, get Steve Bruce out or whatever. He's taking that on the chin and he's probably thinking to himself, I'm all right. I'm going to get, this is proven to Mike that I'm under pressure. The squad needs improved. He's only after a loan sign. Like you said, it's wages. Your wage bills are a lot less than what it was 18 months ago. Surely they can at least just invest in his judgment to get Chowdhury in, regardless of what we think of him as a player. But then he's not getting any faith shown in him. So why should he show any loyalty to? I wouldn't blame him if he walked. People say it's like asking you to do the Stephen Milner show with no sound.
Oh, that's easy. Don't worry about that.
How are you supposed to improve?
I can get Lee to come in. It's fine. Lee would love to be on the show.
How are you supposed to? I'm sure you have been given creative freedom at some point.
Yes, I get your point now.
He's not getting any creative freedom in any way, shape, or form. And like you said, it's a loan signing. I can't imagine Chowdhury's on what Lejeune was on.
Yeah, but this is the thing is as well, Lee. Lejeune's gone. Atsu gone. Carroll's gone. Saidi's gone. How much money have we saved? How much money have we saved?
Was reported to be on over 50 grand.
Well, since we're talking about it, we may as well highlight it because the two other lads that we haven't talked about so far, obviously Mutu had his contract terminated. That would have actually cost us money to actually, because it was a mutual agreement. So that would have cost us money. I don't think it would have cost us loads, a couple of $100,000 perhaps, just to get his contract out of the way. But Lejeune's obviously the big one. You know what Sam's like. Sam bangs on about, loves him. And you now look at our centre-backs and think, Christ, the way we've started. And our VAR's cost for 3 goals. One of them wasn't our fault with Murphy. We know that. But Lascelles been reckless at St. James's Park last time out. And you think Lejeune, you think, you know what? He probably is the overall best defender at the club. We were worried about him being brought back in Bruce's first season, overused, started to do mistakes. And then he was loaned out. And he's just been one of the best defenders in La Liga. And, Alaves will probably be shaking a hand thinking we've got an absolute steal here. So the Lejeune one's really strange, isn't it, Andrew?
It is very strange.
Liga team of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is as well, I'm going to ask you, Andrew. Everyone talks about Steve Bruce, this, that, and the other. But Mike Ashley, he runs this football club. I don't care. Lee Charlie just scratches his arse out every summer by the sound of it. And Steve Nixon, what does he? What job satisfaction does he get when the one player you bring in is a player that he probably didn't really, look at? It was probably like Steve Bruce, Graham Jones thinking, well, that's the sort of player I want. I don't think it had anything to do with him. Mike Ashley runs this football club from top to bottom. He knows how much he wants to spend. And I know there's this takeover that was hanging around for the summer, and Amanda Stavey does interviews and talk sports saying that she wants to get the deal done. But as soon as it got told that takeover was adjourned to at least January, he had to invest. He had to put money on the table. Why can you not?
You've got to protect your asset.
Put money on the table.
Surely you've got to protect your asset, like what you were saying before, selling a house, things like that. Your asset's only worth the money that your deal is reported to be if you stay in the Premier League. we weren't expecting the likes of Crystal Palace and everything to invest. Brighton's invested quite a lot as well, who are already a good team, really. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net last season. So 2 teams that we finished above last season, for me, have now overtook us. They weren't dependent on one player like Saint-Maximin or a Wilson. You know, we mentioned it last week. If Wilson gets injured, what are we going to do? Well, the answer is we've got a Brazilian there that's flatters to deceive, and it's time for him to either step up or someone's got to bite the bullet and get rid and use because he's going to be on big money. That big money can be reinvested. But how are you going to get anyone to come in and offer you, 10 million for him if you're lucky? So I think it's a hard one, Johnny. I think if you're running a business, even if it's not making a profit, you've got to put money in to keep it afloat. At some point, you have to either cut your losses or at least have enough so you can operate at the level that you're at. And we're not putting in enough to operate at the level that we're at. So ultimately, we'll fall short. I honestly really think we'll get relegated this season. I don't say anything else.
Lee, do you agree with Andrew in a word with Newcastle getting relegated this season?
No, I'm still a believer. Still at the minute, I think you've got a look. I've been to all the games, home and away, and it's been up and down, hasn't it? And at the start of the season hasn't been great. I've talked about the formation. I'm not going to go on about it, but during the game, I need to see a proactive manager. I need to see a manager thinking, right, 5 at the back's not working. I might chuck Dwight Gale on for 20 minutes, or I might bring off my whole midfielder and put on a number 10, an extra number 10. I want to see that inside of a game. Practically, Benitez done that. Benitez was like Bruce, where he'll set up 5 at the back, but there'll be tweaks during the game where Benitez would change it, and it might be Hoslu brought on. I think, oh fucking hell, it's Hoslu, but someone defensively would come off for Hoslu. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm criticizing Bruce for. And I said it all pre-season. He can't change a game. He cannot change a game. Look, he does win the odd points, yes, but it's not enough for me. For me, a manager should be winning at least 10 points from the bench or the whole course of a season. For me. You look at your bench and think, right, we're going to chuck you on. So, no, I don't think we'll get relegated just yet. I think we will have a spell. We will have a spell where we'll play good. Maybe it's 4 games, 5 games, 6 games. It's very, very tight. You win 2 games, you're in the top 6. So it's still very, very early at the moment. Ask me that question at Christmas, and I'll probably give you a better answer.
I just hope we don't get to the point. Sorry, I just hope we don't get to the point like we did under Steve McLaren, where he throws the checkbook in January and goes, right, well, I'll invest.
We've got the arbitration happening in January or February, haven't we? Will he spend?
That's the perfect excuse as well. Oh, we've got arbitration. I'm not spending any money because I'm going to win this case and it's X, Y, Z. But I'll ask both of you the same question. We've got 4 games until the next international break. Man United away, Leeds at home, and then back-to-back away games at Watford and Wolves. How many points we're getting? Because I'm saying 2 or 3 max.
I'll say 4.
6. If you go off last season's form, beat Watford, you might get something off Leeds. Leeds are a little bit hit-y-miss here, and I think
they've just spent 25 million on Dan James.
And I don't rate the guy. I think 25 million's good business for Man United, getting 25 million for him, personally.
I think he's got the end product.
Yeah, he's head down, a bit like Miggy, head down. He's going to have good games, but is he going to have a good season? For me. But, sorry, I forgot your question, Johnny.
I was going to say how many points do you think we'll get? Because obviously Man United's next up, and Lee's going down to Old Trafford to see Ronaldo.
I fancy something at Watford and something at Leeds, possibly. So, but that could be 4, could be 6. I'll be optimistic and I'll go wild 6 points.
Wow, that's going to be interesting because I think we're guaranteed at least 1 point. So guaranteed a 1-1 draw against Wolves. It always happens. It doesn't matter if it's 1-1.
Dodgy referee.
Yeah.
He won lucky against Man U.
Right,
do you know what it is? I'm so glad I'm not going to that game. I say all the best to you and Harry Lee, by the way, for that one.
We come to Old Trafford fucking forming after 6-0 rant, as ever. You get what you see with me. Thank you very much, mate, for coming on.
Thanks, Sanders.
Obviously, probably
Take care, mate.
Fan reaction show. Thank you, pal.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Elliot, if you are in the background, can you stick your camera on and make sure that I know that you're there? And we'll bring you on. Archer, I know you're hanging about as well. I just want to talk about Johnny. Oh, has he stuck his camera on? We'll wait for him to sort his camera out. Some of the loans that went out, a couple of these lads, obviously first team. I would say Kel Watts is probably first team now. And you've got Matty, and you've got Jake Turner, the goalkeeper, and Lewis Cass. Kel Watts, I said all summer, I don't know if you agree with me, this another loan spell, and that's Wigan, they'll probably win more games than not. But League One, that's not his level. He's better than that.
The argument is, though, do you play him in a winning team in League One or a losing team in the Championship?
Championship?
It's 6-2, 6-2-3 for me, because look, you look at probably the top 10 teams in League One are probably all Championship standard, if we're being honest. You got your likes of your Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesdays, Portsmouths, Charlton, Rotherham, Ipswich, Wickham. There's teams that have had Championship experience. So you'll be playing against those teams on a regular basis. I know you'll play the odd couple of teams who aren't that level, but if you put him in a Championship team, and say we put him in who's near the bottom, Coventry, for example, and he doesn't do as well, Coventry go down on the final day. What does that do for him in terms of confidence, in terms of his development? I think he needs to play in a winning team, get used to playing week in, week out, like I say, 2-3 games a week in League One with every competition at the man. I think it'll do him the world of good. But I do take your point in the sense that he needs to probably play maybe slightly tougher football, but realistically, I don't think anybody, and I would say that a mid-table Championship team would have taken a chance on Kel Watts. I know he had a good season at Plymouth, but there is a big jump from being bottom to middle of League One to say middle towards the top 6 of the Championship. Blackburn might have been an ideal move, really. Like they're probably about mid-table looking to get into the playoffs, but obviously that wasn't on the table.
Bit of banter of Adam, you lot are getting relegated top 4 in the Championship next season. Probably, Adam. I wouldn't put it past us ask us that in December. But with Kel Watts, I would have liked to see him actually stay with the first team. I think he's a lot better than that. I think the experience of a bit like Elliot Anderson stuck around. I know he's injured at the minute, but I think just having them in the first team, and you know what, maybe chuck him in the odd game, because looking at Newcastle's defence at the minute, you chuck that lad in.
What we've got, Lee?
Well, the thing is, he's natural. He could be a perfect fit in that back five because he can play on the left of the three. And he can bring the ball out. He's played for England in defensive midfield. I know he plays centre-back now, but yeah, I would have kept him around because then he also doesn't need to be registered either. So it's, I don't know, swings and roundabouts. Jake Turner, I'm going to sound very negative. I didn't rate the lad. I've said this quite a lot on NFTV Extra. He's gone out on loan and he can't get a game at the minute. I know it's early doors, but he's sitting on the subs bench. That's not going to help his development whatsoever. So best of luck to Jake Turner. Lewis Cass, obviously part of Johnny's world, NE29 lad. North Shields boy. Had a couple of great loan spells over the last couple of years. And he's now at Crew. Is it Crew? Where's he at? I've got where he's gone.
Crew.
Might be in Crew. I might be wrong on that. But he's gone out on loan. He's playing regular football. But the big one, of course, Johnny, is Matty. Elliot will bring you in just after this segment. But Johnny, Matty, you had a great debut for Aberdeen. A couple of people have already mentioned the lads that, there's a lad there who doesn't need register for the 25-man squad. We brought anybody in. We didn't get Chowdhury. We've lost Matty for a season.
Look, Matty needed this loan. He needed a loan.
Oh, I agree, but it doesn't look great now.
No, it doesn't. I think, regardless, though, if Matty's not going to get played when his brother's playing in a position that's not really his most preferred or comfortable position, and he's probably behind Hayden, Hendrick, Shelby, he's never going to get a game. We're out of the cup as well, so he's not going to get a game. He needed a loan move. I was a bit surprised it was Aberdeen. I have to be honest. I thought it was going to be a nailed-on Championship club. I think it was Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Blackburn, those sort of teams that were linked with him. Even Borough, I think, were mentioned with a bit of a a bit of a chance to go there, but maybe it'll do him the world of good. Get away from the area, get away from the northeast, go to Aberdeen. It's a long way Aberdeen as well.
He's come back, dude. He played for Aberdeen and he was at the Gator game the other night.
Well, he's probably got the international break. He's probably allowed to go back home and
4 hours early.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think he might just do him the world of good. Get away from the area. He's not going to get recognised every 2 seconds. He's not going to get recognised every 2 seconds. Go up. Oh, is it Port Vale? Yeah. Every 2 seconds. Go to Aberdeen. Learn your trade. He's playing with some experienced players there as well. Scott Brown's just joined from Aberdeen from Celtic, who's won everything in Scotland. International. You'll learn so much off him, and even like leadership skills and things like that. So I think it's a good bit of business in terms of Matty's development. Obviously, he's trying a year extension as well, so he's still got 2 years left at Newcastle as well. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it'll be 1 year. Well, it'll be 1 year by the time he comes back.
But hopefully he can stay fit, get games under his belt, and really knock on the door next season. Say Newcastle, say worst comes to worst, and we are a Championship club. I fully expect him to start most games. If we're still a Premier League club, who knows? It depends how much he does have a positive impact at Aberdeen, but Aberdeen will be looking to finish third. Could take away the 2 teams that we both know, Rangers, Celtic. They need to be finishing third. Can Matty play a lot of games and Aberdeen finish third? If they do that, then it's probably a good move all round.
Right, let's get him in. Let's get Elliot in. Elliot, see if we can stick your camera on. How are you? You all right?
I'm fine.
Can you stick your camera on by any chance?
I'm in the bedroom.
Okay.
I'm in the bedroom. I'm keeping the camera off.
Right, no bother. Johnny, I'm lagging a little bit, so I'm going to jump out and come back in. Can you have a quick chat? And I'll sort the... There we go now.
Good evening to you. Hello, good morning to Elliot. I think it's about 12 now. What have you made of this transfer window? Unfortunately, no signings on the final day, just Joe Willock. Not good enough, is it?
It's shambolic, and I think we're in limbo until the takeover happens.
It's been difficult. It's been very, very difficult, and I think a lot of people were looking at this takeover potentially happening, potentially not happening. I'm very much sitting on the fence with that one because I don't really know anything about this potential takeover. But just Joe Willock in this transfer window, Elliot, it's surely not enough squad depth.
The fans are in a catch-22 situation where I love going to the games, and we've got Cristiano Ronaldo against Man United after the international break.
Yeah, we have got Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United next at Old Trafford.
I am going to that game. It would be great to see Cristiano Ronaldo. It's like the golden ticket when he's coming to town, making his second debut.
Yeah, I think he'll fancy his chances of getting on the score sheet after looking at our defence, I'm sure. But who would you have liked to see him come in? Would you have liked to see Hamza Chowdhury come in, Elliot? Because he was the man that a lot of Newcastle fans thought was going to be brought in. Steve Bruce was very, very keen to bring him in. Were you surprised that deal didn't get done?
I wasn't that bothered, to be honest. I didn't do enough research, but I knew he got a few games for Leicester.
Yeah, he's not really getting played at Leicester, which Lee's mentioned earlier. But Lee, it's just another bit of negativity around the whole club, and even just bringing Chowdhury in would have kind of got the club a bit on an uplift, wouldn't it, Lee?
And I can't assure you we can't even get on the deal. There's a lot of speculation saying that we wouldn't pay the loan fee. You couldn't agree the wages, whatever. It's just a shambles, isn't it? It's a fucking shambles that we kind of get a player in on loan. And I wonder how we dealt with the Willock deal. Do we actually haggle over that because of the instalments? I mean, you talk about being tight. And that Ashley's definitely thinking about the takeover. 100%. He's waiting on this. He's not going to spend money because if he sells the club, it won't affect him in the long run for the Willock deal because it's installments. So it won't affect his money. But it'll still be tied to the club, not his name. So it's a shame when you think about, like, you know, I've just talked about Kellen Watts before and he talked about Florian Lejeune. There's two I would have definitely kept. Matty's probably even three that I would have had because two of them don't need to be registered. And you now find well that when the clocks come back, the weather gets worse, the injuries start coming across all the Premier League. You now that find well that, and you see now our injury record that we'll have 10 players out, 11 players out. It's kind of hit with. Who are the replacements when Wilson goes down for 3 weeks, when ASM's out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? You look at your bench and think, fuck me, I've got Joe Litton, I've got Dwight Gale. Or if I lose Isaac Hayden, we've got Jeff Hendrick. So we're in for a long, long winter, aren't we?
We're bargain basing shopping until we get confirmation whether the takeover goes through. But that's been going on for a good 18 months. It's been going on forever. And it's just tiring. It's just tiring. I've just had enough. But unfortunately, we're in a catch-22 situation with Newcastle. We want this takeover to go through, but it's not. It's basically at a standstill. We're going nowhere.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. But Mike Ashley likes a gamble. He's gambling that this takeover goes through in January with the arbitration going in his favour, and he's probably gambling on the fitness of saint-maximin.
I'm with you on that point. I'm with you on that point, Johnny.
Yeah, I think that's what he's gambling, and hopefully it pays off for him. Which, if it does, then it work really well.
One point about this transfer window: it's a disgrace that we've only signed a couple of players. But I read in the Chronicle we did sign a Mexican international, he was born in America. I think he's age 19, and they said he was targeting the under-23s at Newcastle United. But the only one signing I think we made was from last season's additions like Joe Willock. They should have had him on. Should have had it sorted at the beginning of the transfer window. If that was the case, we could have had half a dozen players. We just never can tell with this Mike Ashley regime, and the only best thing that I can hope for this season is that Tavish Head goes, Steve Bruce goes, but he's not going anywhere. He has the safest job in the world.
Yeah,
but I would love them to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of fans will agree with that, Elliot. I very much do. But thank you very much for coming on tonight. We'll let you get some sleep.
I'm looking forward to seeing Cristiano Ronaldo.
I'm not.
I can just hear the song now, Lee. Viva Joe Linton, isn't it? That's how it goes, isn't it?
Oh, I can imagine the match vlog for Old Trafford. It's all going to be Ronaldo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Elliot, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elliot.
Good night.
Thank you.
Elliot. Thank you.
Our last guest, which will bring in Archer in just a minute. Actually, we'll bring Steve in for a couple of minutes because I know I said I'll give him a shout out for his channel. So let's have a look. We had one final player to talk about, Johnny, which was the only really positive to come out from all of this transfer window. if I said to you at the start of last season that we signed Joe Willock, you would have been out of the moon, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course I would have done. Look, he did exceptionally well when he came in, and we all know how significant he was for Newcastle staying up. And look, if you said to me at the start of the window, we've got Joe Willock on a permanent, regardless of what else we did, I'd have been absolutely delighted. But he still needs a few games. I don't think he's really done a lot since he's come in permanently. I thought he was very quiet against Aston Villa. I thought he was a little bit brighter against Southampton in the second half. But he still hasn't really played a lot of minutes in pre-season, so he needs a few games to catch up on. But God, if we can get him on another eight goal streak, we might have half a chance, and Newcastle might be okay. But there is talent, and there's definitely there is talent in the boy, and hopefully Newcastle can get the advantages out of them. And if we do that, you like your Callum Wilsons, your ASMs, your Miguel Almirez will benefit from that.
Yeah, I think we're saying Willock. We all were shouting for every single Newcastle fans. Like, you've got to go and sign Willock. It kind of looks like that we've blown our budget, but it's a bit of a joke how we've done it in installments. We can't even put a lump sum fee of 25 million down. We've got to pay it over whatever the course is, whether it's a year, 2 year, 3 year, who knows? We'll not know really until probably a couple of years. But, he's pals of Alan Saint-Maximin, close pals. I think he waited because he really, really didn't want to leave Arsenal because that's his boyhood club. And I can understand that. It'll be a bit like a Longstaff, so not really want to leave Newcastle. Not really, not deep down. But he did it for his benefit to go and play first-team football. Loved his interview on BBC Radio Newcastle. I thought he looked a little bit shy, I'm not going to lie, but I loved how he fronted up and said, yeah, I'll do it. And that's probably warmed. And credit to Bruce as well. Bruce done it. He faced a couple of difficult questions, but Willock didn't have to do that. But yeah, seems like a good lad, full of character. Hopefully he bangs in. We're pinning all the hopes on him. You will have probably at some point, Johnny, he's going to have a dip of form where it will be the first time, because really Willock's all we've ever known, Joe Willock, is positivity, performance as well, coming off the bench, scoring goals, then he's getting his starts. Do you think fans just need to lay off him a little bit when that poor form comes? Because at some point it's going to happen.
Problem is, though, Lee, we haven't got that time. Unfortunately, if we had other players around, then potentially yes, you could say that we could give him a bit of time to kind of learn from his mistakes. But we're a team that unfortunately needs their best players to play well most weeks if we want to stay in the division. Now, if you play for a team like who's going to finish mid-table? Maybe Villa. Villa might finish mid-table this season, right? They could probably let Joe Willock have 5 poor games to learn from his mistakes and have 6 better ones. We're not really in that sort of position, unfortunately. And that is a challenge for Willock himself. Can he get on a run of form that will benefit the team? If he does that, it will help Newcastle, of course.
We will. We've got Andy's popped in as well. So what I'll do, Johnny, I'll drop out for 5 to 10 minutes and I'll let you speak to Archer and Andy. And that's it, everybody. No more guests coming, but stay tuned. Obviously, we're still going to be running for the next 10, 15 minutes or so, but we'll bring in our final 2 guests, which is Archer and Andy.
Yeah. Hi, guys. It's Andy, isn't it?
Yeah. Hi, you're
Andy,
right.
I'll speak to you first. A very, very quiet transfer deadline day. Newcastle only bring in Santiago Munez, which I didn't think I'd ever be saying on time to a deadline day. Nice to see you as well, Archer. But Andy, first with you. Just Joe Willock in. Really, really poor, isn't it, for Newcastle United? They just don't want to spend any money.
I think the thing that's frustrating is we've actually offloaded a lot of wages in terms of like Atsu, Mewtwo, Andy Carroll. We let Yedlin go last season as well. We've let Matty Longstaff go out on loan. It's just the Joe Willock signing is good, but actually it's not really strengthening because he was there last year. So, and I just feel, in particular, Clark, Ritchie, Shelvey, Lascelles, we needed a freshen up of our core in terms of the defensive core in particular, and we're not going to get that. And that is the issue because I just feel that our defense is awful at the moment, and we really needed some defenders. I'm glad we didn't get Phil Jones. I'll be honest. I was quite worried about that signing. That was a bit scary. I just don't know actually what his model is in terms of transfers now. Like the Joe Willock one is good, but like before, we used to buy like cheap French players and something and try and make get the Kabais or someone really good from that group. Even like loaning someone like Loic Remy or signing Demba Ba on a free. But now we just seem to go for like cheap Fraser, Hendrick, Freeze, who aren't even that great, like average Premier League players. Like we weren't even in for someone like Andros Townsend or like Brighton have spent 17 million on a left back. Like Brighton, and we're not even in for frees or loans. Like it's incredible.
It really, really is. Archer, welcome to the show. Frustrating is what we've kind of gathered. I think that's the word. Frustrating, disappointing. We've said this numerous times, but I think the interesting point that Andy brings up is that Brighton spent £17 million on a player. Brighton Hove Albion. Brighton were battling for the Championship title with Newcastle 4 or 5 years ago, and you look at the core players that Newcastle had: Carl Darlow, Jamal Lascelles, Kieran Clark, John Joe Shelby, Isaac Hayden, Dwight Gale. They're all still at the football club now. Not all of them are playing every week. I obviously gather that, but Newcastle needed a few more recruitments to just bolster the squad up, and it's just been very, very poor. And Mike Ashley's gambling on Newcastle survival. If he wants his takeover to happen, I'll repeat myself. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's just very poor from top to bottom, Archer.
Like literally this transfer window it's just been so frustrating. Like obviously we bought in Joe Willock for 25 million, and literally, I literally thought we would have like brought in maybe a few more faces in, because like obviously we got rid of Muto and Andy Carroll. Then that's leaving us with 3 strikers. But for me, what I said, like by January, that the club need to at least buy a striker for backup for Callum Wilson, because however, yes, Callum Wilson can score goals for us, but he can also be injury prone. So that means Joe Linton is the only option. And then you've got Dwight Gale, who is more of a championship striker. If I'm being honest, he scored loads of goals for West Brom, but when they announced the squad numbers, last season he was number 12, and now he's gone down to 34. That's an absolute joke.
Yeah,
but
it's just weird, isn't it? Like that's just a weird change in number anyway. But Andy, we can all talk about we should have got this player, we should have got that player, but there's no names. Who would you've actually brought in? Like, I'm thinking off the top of my head, Ross Barkley. I don't think has a club. Would he have been a good option to have potentially?
Ross Barkley would have been an upgrade on what we've got. I'm not saying he's a great player, but he's better. I mean, he always plays well against Newcastle, to be fair. But like, he would have been an upgrade on what we've got at the moment. Centre mid as well. Centre mid, right back, centre back. We really needed to strengthen. I don't know whether the Joe Linton signing has kind of scarred Mike Ashley a bit, because he obviously bought Almiron, didn't he, in that January window, and then he went and spent 40 million. And I just think he might be he can only spend it on guaranteed success now, but it's just I don't get why we're not. There are so many frees and loans we could have got. Like Damari Gray, like Everton went and got him for like 2 million. Like But I just think we're just going nowhere with. I mean, we've been talking about this for years, haven't we? It's just the same, the same thing. I mean, it's like when we qualified. I remember when we came fifth under Pardew. We only bought Vernon and Anita. Like, it's just that's like 10 years ago. We're still doing the same nonsense. It's just not going to change, really. The only times we spent loads was when we got relegated, and the season as well where we that season where we really needed defenders, and we just went and bought Shelby, Townsend, brought loads of midfielders in when we were desperate for defenders.
Yeah,
Like it's random how, and like I said, where did that 40 million out of nowhere come for Joe Linton? It doesn't make it. I wish someone would just explain what we're trying to
I
do.
think there was more to meet. I think there was more to meet the eye of that transfer, and I think there was a few agents involved in that. That's just what I've kind of gathered anyway. But I think that's another video for another day, I'm afraid, on that one. But Archer, I'll leave the final word with you on this one. Are the three worst teams in the Premier League now the Newcastle, and is our squad weaker?
Like, I think there is three teams out there that are quite weak. One of them is Norwich. I think Norwich could go down. I think Brentford will stay up. Watford might stay up. But yeah, I don't know where the other two teams are. But I think if we don't play our cards right, then Newcastle are literally doomed. If we do not invest on any players in January, because Mike Ashley is only interested in the money and pretty much interested in the takeover, because he seems to me that he wants to be out of this football club. So if he wants to be out of this football club, why is he waiting so long? And then you've got the FA on our backs. It's just an absolute joke.
I think that sums up to the transfer window at Newcastle, a joke. But yeah, I think that's where we'll leave it there. Andy, Archer, thank you very much for coming along. And I'll let Lee do his magic, and I'm sure he'll come back on the screen in the next 5 to 10 seconds. But thank you very much, gents.
No, boys.
And if by magic, bang. Lee, look at that, Lee Lawless here. There you go.
Back over on the left.
Going on.
Brought Steve in because I sent to Steve, I'll give his channel a shout out. But that is a wrap. I didn't expect to go on that long. I think we're doing a deadline day video. Was it January where someone proposed? I think, Johnny?
Yeah.
I think that was January. Yeah, that went on for over 2 hours, so we've cut that down a little bit. If you are watching, please smash that like. We've been going for over an hour and a half.
Become a member.
A lot of come up and member. A lot of stuff behind the scenes just to make the graphics a little bit more enjoyable for you tonight as well. Thank you for all the interaction as well. The videos are still going to be rolling, even though it's international break. We've still got a couple of Greenwood and Mulliner shows over an extra. I'm hoping to get one of the women's games this weekend or a non-league club, so there'll be a vlog on that. And also I've got a trip from Newcastle Castle. Yeah. So if you want to know why Newcastle is named Castle, stay tuned to that one. Steve, you'll enjoy that. Bit of history there. Steve, before I let you shoot off, please tell us about your new channel and why you started it.
Yeah, no. So I started my new channel, Strasbourg Steve. And you guys will probably right off the bat wonder, why is Strasbourg? What's the connection? I'm Alsace, Lorraine. So my great grandparents, my great grandmother Julia is from the Alsace region. And so that's northeastern France, and it's right near the German-French border. So Alsace is very German. They have a lot of German elements, and people speak both German and French in Strasbourg. So I'm Alsatian, so I picked them. And they're probably they are definitely one of my favorite sides. So, but yeah, check me out on there. I talk anything and everything football. I have like a 5-hour.
Sorry to put in. I know that fine well. You were live for 5 hours.
Yeah, I spent
5 hours.
Yeah, I spent like 2.5 hours talking about all 107 of my football jackets, kits, T-shirts, anything. So you can check that out, and I'll explain like, why this jersey means a lot or story behind it. And then I also talk about Champions League preview, Europa League, Europa Conference League. And then I'm going to be doing a video Friday on why I think Ashley is intentionally relegating this club, because I saw a tweet earlier about all the transfers we have had incoming and outgoing of this club since October 2020, and it's Willock is the only one in, and there are about 15 out. So
yeah, you get a bit of love.
And something clicked in my head. I'm like, there's no way that Ashley isn't trying to get us relegated on purpose to get this takeover. There is no way. So I'll be going more in depth on that on Friday, get my thoughts organized, try to be a little more, professional. But yeah, I'm going to be making a video. On that sometime soon, because I feel like that's an important. And I started it just to, talk football and give some love to leagues and players, like, because I watch lots of Liga. I watch the Russian Premier League, so I know what you guys are, what to expect. Huh?
Get out! You change your underwear. But seriously though, go over, have a look at Steve's channel. I can't not say this because Sam will kill me. Soccer. He loves his football, but yeah, please go over. Soccer. Strasbourg, Steve. But last word of Johnny there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no bother, mate. Johnny, I know we've been going for a while, but it's good that we're getting the reaction, bringing the fans in for this type of video.
Yeah, it really is. That's what we're all about. It's a very much. I don't see anybody else really doing it, and it gives the likes of. We've had all sorts of different people on tonight, and the same with the fan reaction show and after matches as well, and that seems to be doing really, really well. What I've seen so far this season, so it gives fans a voice, and they can express their opinion on the club, and whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, at least they have that chance and that opinion, and it's a good interaction. I think it's the modern day version of a radio show.
That's why I started my channel, because I'm like, this is so much fun being on this channel. I want to meet other people and talk football and get different opinions and views and learn. That's also fun.
Yeah, so, but it's all fantastic. And like I say, even though we haven't really had can you imagine if we actually had players to talk about league? We had players to talk about that brought in, apart from Joe Willock. That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, our videos do better when we win games. So some other channels do better when they lose. Other channels on the internet, ours the opposite. We do better when we win. What's his channel? It's Strasbourg Steve. Strasbourg as in the club. Steve, usual spelling for that. You can find Steve's channel. There you go, Strasbourg Steve. But on a day where Newcastle did not bring anybody in permanently into the first team, it's been a very disappointing window. Only Joe Willock was the big name. A couple of the under-23s come in. A lot of people left the club. You can see by the thumbnail how many players have been announced. But yeah, stay tuned to NFTV and NFTV Extra for more content for all of us and everybody else who's been on tonight.
Absolutely.
Ta-da.
Absolutely. Ta-da.